Welcome to episode 6 of part of our continuing demo series on pinning of locks. This episode will take you through the steps necessary to pin a high security Ford Fiesta door lock. We hope you enjoy this video. Alright, we're going to begin episode 6, which is pinning a Ford Fiesta door lock. This door lock is considered a freewheeling door lock. And there's a couple things that'll become apparent as we go along, where we have a lever on the back, but also we have a declutching plate. And basically a freewheeling door lock is something that, say, is in the lock position. If you put a screwdriver or something in it and try and force rotate that lock, it won't break, but it will spin. And it's just another security feature, mechanical security feature on those locks. But as you saw, if you watched the demo for the Fiesta ignition, this one's a little bit different in that there are 10 positions used in the cylinder. So when you're tumbling the cylinder, you'll use 10 positions. This is the top side. The orientation of this is such that that spring hole closest to the face cap, we denote this as a top side. So what we're going to do is we're going to pin the top side, and then we're going to flip it over, and we're going to pin what's called the bottom side. Instead of a traditional left and right, we're going to populate top side and bottom side. A little bit easier that way. To begin with, I've laid my tumblers out in sequence, and you can refer to, there's a couple of slides that you'll see within the demo video of the key that we're going to be using and the cuts on that key. This slide shows the door spacings for this exercise for the positions 1 through 10, and essentially you're going to use all 10 positions on the door. Unlike the ignition, you used 8 positions. You can read from the center line of the key on the slide and note where your positions 1 through 5 are. This slide is for the actual orientation of the tumblers, and stations 1 through 10 are shown along the bottom, and these are the actual positions that you insert the tumblers. So for instance, station 1 left, as shown on the diagram, 1L, uses a 4 left tumbler. Station 2R, or right, as shown on the diagram, uses a 5 right tumbler, and so forth all the way through 10. But what we're going to do is we're going to start off, and we're going to tumble the cylinder, like I said before, orientation top side up. And as always, we're going to start with a little grease in the tumbler wards, and I'm going to just try and use very little here, just enough maybe to retain the springs and just a slight retention on the tumblers, but I'm not using a whole lot here. So I'm going to start off by greasing that cylinder, and then I'm going to take the tumbler springs, and we're going to put those all in first, and then once we get that done, we'll start tumbling. So I'm almost done with the springs, and again, you see where the springs are all in. And then with the particular key code we have, starting near the face cap, and this is position 1L, we're going to do this whole side. So that's 1L, 5L, and position 9L. So the position 1L in this exercise uses a, and again, the tumblers are stamped a left 4. So we're going to put that in. And then the next position uses a left 2. And you can see how this is orientated, that this is the left side I'm doing first on the top side. And then the last one is an L5. So what we've done is we populated these first. Now the other side, the right side of the top, starts off with, let me get this oriented right, a right hand 5, and then the next tumbler up is a right hand 4, and then the last one on that top side is a right 5. With that side done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our cut key and I put it in. I'm going to check to make sure that we're flush on this side, and we are flush. Let's take the key out carefully, because these are not snap-in tumblers, so you have to hold them with your thumb or forefinger, and you're going to start to populate the other side. And again, you just want to keep them somewhat depressed or keep it on its side. And we're going to turn over to this bottom side and we're going to grease. And again, don't overdo it with the grease. And what we're going to do then is we're going to start on the left side after we put the springs in. And again, on the left hand side, pick up our first tumbler we've laid out, and it is a left 2. And the last one on the left here is, the verification is a left 4. And starting near the bottom, this should be a right hand tumbler you've laid out. This one happens to be a right hand 4. And the very last tumbler is a right 3. So now we can check very carefully, hold all of them, depress them, and then put the key in. And you can look at that bottom side where they're all flush fit, and the top side. So right now, you've completely tumbled your cylinder. And that's your first step. Okay, then what we're going to move on to is the case onto the cylinder. And there is a specific orientation. This notch up front here, when you put it over, it nests essentially on the front end of that cylinder. So it really doesn't go. If you turn it around, it doesn't fit, it doesn't nest. So you got to put it one way there. And that's a pretty simple step. Okay. Then beyond that, there's a couple clutch components, the lever end of the clutching plate, that will need to go on. We'll put those on first, the declutching plate, and there is a notch at the top of the cylinder that this nests onto, and then the lever will actually fit over, and I call it nesting, onto that portion. And we have what's called a push washer, the star washer. The instructions actually call it a fixing ring, and that's going to press fit onto the end of this assembly. And it starts with the concave side out. Then the next portion is you have your case, and it's a pretty tight fit. You want to take a little grease and put on the inside just to start off with. But one of the last things I didn't put on here, and I'll put it on now, is another component that is the indexer. There's a couple features here that you'll find apparent. This is dished out on the top of that case. This has a rounded feature in there, and it's all got to go together just right. And if you can see on the top view that plate, the clutching plate, will mate in. And again, that is essentially, when you have it all together, that indexer mates in with that declutching plate, and then that lever is on the back. And it's all held by the fixing ring back there. There's one last step, and again, something's got to hold the whole cylinder assembly into the case. And down in here, there's two areas where we have basically called fixing plates that drop in two fixing plates here. They orientate this way and ultimately drop into that slot. So as long as your cylinder's all the way home through the case, they'll drop freely in. And again, they really go one way. They'll drop into those slots. And then the last and final step is to take a punch and tight in there. There's some metal that will be flattened out to hold those fixing plates in, that the whole assembly stays together. And that's essentially how you put together a Ford Fiesta freewheeling door lock. I want to thank you for joining us for episode 6, the pitting of the Ford Fiesta freewheeling door lock. And good luck out there, and thanks again for joining us in this demo series.